Excuse me, ma'am. First class is for priority passengers only. Those were the first words spoken to Dr. Camilla Rhodes that morning. Not, "Welcome aboard." Not, "Can I help you?" Not even a smile. Just cold judgment, wrapped in a forced smile from a woman half her age with a shiny airline pin and a clipboard gripped too tightly. It was 7:42 a.m. in Gate B-17 of Atlanta Hartsfield, and Camilla had arrived precisely on time, no more, no less. She never liked being early for the sake of waiting. She walked with a slow, deliberate grace, the kind that made some people pause and others bristle. Her coat was camel wool. Her suitcase was vintage. Her skin was brown, her lipstick was deep, and her hair was salt and pepper perfection swept into a twist. What she didn't carry was a logo, a lanyard, or a loud presence. She'd spent 38 years ensuring her silence could still command a room. And now, this gate agent, Brittany, looked her over like a mother spotting muddy shoes on cream carpet. "Ma'am," Brittany repeated, "this is the priority lane. You'll want to return to Zone 3 for economy boarding." Camilla didn't blink. She simply tilted her head, handed over her ticket, and said in the same tone she'd used with 22-year-old residents in surgical rotations, "Scan it." There was a pause. Brittany hesitated. The boarding pass in her hand glowed in red and platinum. She scanned it. Ding. First class. Seat 1A. Brittany's eyes flicked up, but Camilla was already walking past her. Airplane inside the aircraft. Camilla stored her coat herself, took her seat, and unfolded the newspaper she always carried, even though the articles had all been read that morning. She liked the rustle. It reminded people she was there. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. She didn't notice the ripple of attention until she heard the whisper. "Are you sure she didn't sneak past the scanner?" Camilla turned a page slowly. "I mean, maybe she picked it up off the floor or traded with someone." Some people really know how to work the system. That voice came from the couple seated in 1B and 1C, a man and a woman in their 50s with matching Apple Watches and sweaters from Nantucket. Camilla closed the paper. Not harshly. Not like a protest. But like a verdict. "I'm sorry, ma'am," said another flight attendant, approaching with a tight expression. Her badge read Lisa in all caps. "But we're showing a discrepancy in our seating. We may need to move you until we verify your booking." Camilla looked up. "Move me where?" Lisa blinked. "To the main cabin." There it was. Said so plainly. So effortlessly. The same words Camilla had heard from an HR rep in 1982, a donor liaison in 1997, and a conference chair in 2015. Words that meant, "You're too well-spoken, too polished, too professional, too black, too female, too calm, too powerful, too everything that doesn't compute." Camilla folded her hands. "You can verify my booking right here, from your tablet. My name is Dr. Camilla Rhodes. I booked this seat under a Stratter Platinum Executive account tied to my corporate email. You'll find the details in under 30 seconds, unless you'd prefer I call your CO and explain why I'm standing in an aisle instead of seated in 1A. Lisa didn't move. "I'm sorry, but the system isn't recognizing." "No, sweetheart," said a new voice. "She's not a first-class passenger. She's a first-rate liar." The man from 1B was now standing, arms crossed, blocking the aisle with the proud, puffed-up energy of someone who'd never been told no at a country club. "I saw her walk on. She didn't come through with our group. She doesn't belong here. She doesn't even have a business-class bag." Camilla stared at him for a long moment. His red polo shirt had a faint stain near the collar. His confidence had no stains at all. Pristine ignorance. She inhaled. "Sir, I'd advise you to sit down. But he wasn't listening. He turned to Lisa. I'm sorry, but you need to remove her before this becomes a legal liability. My wife and I don't feel safe. Safe, Camilla echoed. The word landed cold and wrong in the middle of the cabin. Suddenly, the plane wasn't moving. People were watching. The couple behind her began filming. Then, the PA crackled. Captain Reynolds here. We've paused boarding due to a passenger identification issue. We'll resume once we confirm a manifest error. Camilla exhaled through her nose. The smell of synthetic carpet and pretzels and pressurized judgment filled the air. She reached for her carry-on. But not to leave. To retrieve her phone. She tapped 3 times. A voice answered. Ma'am? Protocol 3, she said quietly. Confirmed, the voice replied. You want full internal activation? Camilla stared at Lisa. Yes, and began the compliance sweep immediately. Lisa blinked. Compliance sweep? Camilla smiled just enough. Sit tight. You're about to learn what that means. Protocol 3? Lisa echoed. What's that supposed to mean? Camilla didn't answer. She tapped something on her phone again. 3 dots pulsed in the corner of the screen. Live transcription on. Every word now being logged by her legal team. Every breath Lisa took would be time-stamped. The man in 1B shifted uncomfortably. Lisa turned to her crew. Can someone call down to corporate just to be safe? The flight attendant by the galley nodded and disappeared behind the curtain. The air felt tighter. The cabin wasn't moving. The murmurs were now a steady buzz. 1 row back, a younger woman in a U.S. Navy sweatshirt was watching everything unfold. Camilla glanced her way. The woman gave a small nod. Not pity. Not even solidarity. Just recognition. Lisa forced a smile, though her lips trembled slightly. Let's all just stay calm while we verify a few things. Telephone receiver 10 floors below. At the Stratair Executive Oversight Office, something rare had just happened. An alert pinged in red. P3 initiated. Executive account holder, Camilla Rhodes. Status escalated. The man who opened the notification had been eating a breakfast sandwich. Now it sat forgotten on his desk. Is this real? He muttered. His supervisor appeared behind him. Call legal. And ops. Now! Airplane back on the plane. The captain opened the cockpit door. His expression was somewhere between curiosity and dread. Ms. Rhodes, I apologize for the delay. Would you prefer to wait in the terminal while we resolve the seating issue? Camilla turned slightly. Captain Reynolds, I'm curious. Did anyone request your presence when I first boarded? The captain looked toward Lisa. No, ma'am. And did my boarding pass fail at any point? No, ma'am. Camilla gave a thin, precise smile. Then I'll remain seated. The man in 1B sputtered. Oh, come on. She just threatened legal action, and now she's running the place? Camilla turned to him. I don't need to threaten legal action. I am legal action. A ripple of reaction spread through first class. Gasps. A low whistle from someone near the front. The tension had flipped, but it hadn't disappeared. Antenna bars 3 gates away. On a tablet at gate C11, a customer service rep named Jordan was watching a live update feed of all escalated cases system-wide. A new alert flashed. Executive override, urgent. Do not remove Dr. Camilla Rhodes. Jordan's eyes widened. She stood, grabbed her radio, and began speaking into it as she walked. Hey, Brad? Tell gate B17 they might want to delay boarding. We have a real situation. Airplane arrival a twist in the cabin. Just as Lisa was about to awkwardly excuse herself, her radio crackled. Lisa, this is Ops. Step into the galley. She walked to the back, but she wasn't gone long. When she returned, her expression was different. No longer forced. Now frozen. She cleared her throat. Dr. Rhodes, I've been informed that there was a misunderstanding regarding your booking and we want to sincerely apologize. You're not only cleared for first class, your credentials flagged a high-tier override. I didn't know. Camilla didn't speak. She watched Lisa squirm. The silence did the talking. Then the man in 1B leaned forward again. Oh, please. They're just covering their behinds. You're still not who you claim to be. If you were someone that powerful, you wouldn't be flying commercial in the first place. Camilla slowly turned her head. I don't need a private jet to know who I am. I fly with the people because I've never forgotten who I serve. He opened his mouth again, but didn't find the words. A voice from across the aisle interrupted. Sir, said the woman in 1D, an older black woman in a green dress. Her voice carried elegance and steel. You've spoken enough. You've embarrassed yourself and the airline. He scoffed but sat down. Camilla exhaled. The plane was silent again, until someone clapped. Then another. Soon, half the first-class cabin was applauding, not raucously, but with quiet conviction. The kind that didn't cheer the takedown, but the stand. Camilla sat quietly now, arms folded, eyes closed. Not sleeping, reflecting. She remembered the first time this had happened. 1987, Chicago O'Hare. A TSA officer had asked her to please step aside while they opened her briefcase on the floor. She'd been carrying a legal pad, a first draft of her fellowship thesis, and a sandwich wrapped in wax paper. That sandwich was more respected than she was. 36 years later, the paper had changed. The tone hadn't. Satellite 35,000 feet over Mississippi. The plane had been in the air 12 minutes, when a quiet tap came at her shoulder. It was Lisa. Dr. Rhodes. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I judged you. I thought. She hesitated, then took a breath. I thought you didn't belong. Camilla looked at her. No heat. Just clarity. You thought I didn't belong because you've never seen someone who looks like me sitting in this seat without being accompanied by someone who looks like him. She nodded toward 1B, who was now furiously pretending to read a digital magazine. Lisa nodded once, silently. Camilla softened. Just slightly. It's not about you. It's about the air you breathe without knowing it's poisoned. Lisa blinked. I don't follow. It's not your fault. But it is your responsibility. Camilla turned back to her window. Let that be the first lesson you learn from this flight. Lisa stood quietly, then walked away. Briefcase a shake-up in corporate. Meanwhile, at Strat headquarters, things were unraveling quickly. The live operations center had gone into red mode, a rare level of alert. There was now a digital flag on every screen that read, Executive Override, Rhodes Protocol Active. Audit, all employee interactions on Flight 298 ATL, lax. Legal, PR, Human Resources. They were all pinging each other nonstop. And then came the kicker. The chief compliance officer picked up the phone and called Stratair CO. She activated Protocol 3, he said. Silence. Then, did she file a complaint? No. Worse. She didn't say a word. She just escalated it quietly. The CO exhaled through his teeth. Damn. That's her style. Microphone back on the plane. The seatbelt sign dinged off. A flight attendant offered water. Camilla declined. Across the aisle, the man in 1B kept glancing her way. The bravado from earlier had drained. He was now doing the math in his head. Whoever she was, she'd called a number. Someone had answered, and the entire flight had been around her presence. He cleared his throat. "Look, I may have been a little rude earlier," he muttered. Camilla turned her head slowly. Her look wasn't cold. It was clinical. "A little rude?" He swallowed. "I didn't mean anything by it. I just thought. You thought I didn't belong. Because I didn't look like you. Didn't talk like you. Didn't enter with a label you recognized." She leaned forward slightly, just enough for him to feel it. "That's the problem with people like you. You think etiquette is about napkin placement and thank you cards. But real manners? Real class? Is how you treat someone when you think they're beneath you." He said nothing. Behind him, someone muttered, She got you there." Desktop computer flight status. Complicated. At the control center, the team finally opened the manifest fully. Camilla Rhodes wasn't just a priority passenger. She was Stratair's newest institutional partner. Her firm had just approved a $310 million logistics deal with the airline to handle executive charter operations across 17 routes. The ink was still drying, and now the airline's internal systems were logging customer complaints, digital footage, and onboard reports, all tied to the same flight. All tied to her name. The situation was no longer a PR concern. It was a disaster. Candle a moment of calm. 20 minutes passed. Camilla finally opened her tablet, not to document, but to read. She flicked through articles on medical equity, environmental impacts of private jets, then stopped on an old interview. Her own. "Power is quiet," she'd told the interviewer. "Real power doesn't raise its voice. It raises the standard." She smiled at that, then closed the tablet. The cabin had mostly settled. First-class passengers returned to their tablets and sparkling waters, though eyes still flicked Camilla's way every few minutes. She didn't fidget. She didn't check the time. She didn't need to. She'd done what needed to be done. Now she waited. Office building Stratair HQ, legal war room. 3 floors below the Stratair executive suite, a crisis meeting was underway. "We've now confirmed Dr. Camilla Rhodes is listed as our newest global partner," said the head of investor relations, her tone tight. "Has the footage leaked?" "Not yet. But it will," added the general counsel. "There were at least 3 phones filming, and at least 1 passenger already posted a TikTok clip of Lisa telling Camilla she didn't look like a first-class customer." Someone swore under their breath. The PR director dropped his head into his hands. "We've seen this before. If we're lucky, it stays inside aviation circles. If we're not," he trailed off. No one filled the silence. Airplane departure on board. New altitudes, old attitudes. At 37,000 feet, Camilla finally stood. Not abruptly. Not to make a point. Simply to stretch. She moved like someone who'd learned to command attention by not seeking it. The woman in the navy sweatshirt from earlier looked up and gave her a respectful nod. "You don't know me," she said. "But I know you. You spoke at my sister's college last year. University of Chicago." Camilla smiled faintly. "Then your sister must be sharp." "She is. You changed how she sees herself." Camilla sat back down. "That means more than the seat I paid for." Behind them, Lisa hovered uncertainly in the galley. Watching. Waiting. She wasn't alone. The crew had become unusually quiet. And then, as if on cue, one of the younger flight attendants leaned toward her. "Lisa, they know." Lisa turned. "What do you mean?" "About her. Corporate's freaking out. One of the ops guys texted me, said they haven't seen a P3 flag in years. She's not just a passenger. She's connected." Lisa's mouth went dry. "I told the captain to offer her a refund," she whispered. The attendant blinked. Lisa's voice broke. She refused. Sparkles, meanwhile, in coach. Row 22. CD. Martha Hughes, 71, leaned over to her travel companion, whispering like a schoolgirl with a secret. "That's her," she said. "Who?" "The woman from the news last year. Medical CO. Built clinics in 9 countries. What's her name again? Camilla something?" her friend gasped. "The one who debated that senator on healthcare and won? That's her. I saw her TED Talk about how dignity has no dress code." They both looked forward. Camilla sat calmly, reading again. She didn't know she was being discussed. She didn't need to know. People were beginning to remember her name. Chart decreasing Stratair stock fluctuates. At exactly 10:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Stratair stock saw a brief dip, less than 1%, but enough for the algorithms to notice. A keyword scan revealed an increase in search traffic for Stratair discrimination. CO denied boarding. Camilla Rhodes airline story. The PR director now had his phone against his ear, and both palms flat on the conference table. "Yes, I understand that," he said, teeth clenched. "But if we don't get ahead of this narrative, we're going to have congressional staffers in our inbox by Tuesday." He looked up at the executive team. "Someone better be on the ground when she lands." Airplane back in the sky. The captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've just begun our descent into Los Angeles. Please ensure all tray tables are upright and your seatbelts are fastened." Camilla placed her tablet away. Then she reached into her briefcase. Not for anything dramatic. For a handwritten letter. She had intended to revise it during the flight. It was to a graduating class of high school girls in Newark. She'd been invited to deliver the commencement address. Instead, she looked at the first paragraph. One line stood out. "They will tell you that dignity must be earned." They are wrong. Dignity is not something given, it is something you claim. She folded the page. She would read that line verbatim. Airplane arrival, descent begins. As the wheels touched down, Lisa stood once more. She reached Camilla's row and knelt beside her seat. "I know you have every right to be furious," she said, "and I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I want to understand. I want to do better." Camilla looked at her. Her voice was quiet. "Then start by remembering this moment every time someone doesn't look like the customer you expected." Lisa nodded, tears forming. Camilla handed her a business card. Not to boast. Not to threaten. Just a simple gesture. The title read, Dr. Camilla Rhodes, MD, MPH, Executive Director, Rhodes Foundation. Lisa took it like it was made of glass. The terminal at LAX was already humming when Flight 298 taxied toward its gate. But by the time the jet bridge attached, something unusual had shifted. Waiting beyond the glass, standing in a crisp navy blazer with a Stratair insignia pinned near her collarbone, was Amanda Keene, Vice President of Customer Experience. She didn't usually do gate receptions. Her role was remote, corporate, and far removed from terminals and trolleys. But this morning was different. This morning, she'd been pulled into an emergency Zoom with 5 VPs, a compliance lead, and a board member. The subject line of the invite had read only, Rhodes. Amanda glanced at her watch. Gate A17. Estimated arrival, 11:36 a.m. She straightened her jacket, exhaled once, and walked toward the opening jet bridge door. Inside the aircraft, Camilla had yet to stand. She always let the aisle clear. Not because she was slow, but because she'd seen enough elbows thrown by people desperate to be first to a terminal seat. It never made sense to her, rushing toward more waiting. Around her, passengers grabbed bags, slung coats over shoulders, and gave half glances in her direction. Some smiled. A few gave sheepish nods. One woman mouthed, "Thank you." Camilla simply sat. Across the aisle, one bee avoided her completely. He knew. Everyone did now. When she finally stood, Camilla moved with that same practiced ease. Shoulders back, chin even. Not rigid, not forced. Simply certain. She stepped into the aisle, rolled her leather case behind her, and exited the plane. Amanda was waiting. "Dr. Rhodes," she said, extending a hand. "I'm Amanda Keene. I'd like to apologize, formally and personally, for what happened on this flight." Camilla didn't flinch. "Is Lisa still employed?" Amanda hesitated. "As of this moment, yes. But—" Camilla held up a hand. "Then don't apologize yet. Words mean nothing until backed by consequence." Amanda blinked, then nodded. "Understood. We've opened a full investigation. HR has been briefed. So has legal." "Good." They began walking through the terminal. Amanda adjusted her pace to match Camilla's. Several passers-by did double takes. A few pulled out phones, but thought better of it. Camilla's name hadn't yet hit headlines, but it was coming. Amanda tried again. "We'd like to offer a full refund for your flight and extend a private apology from the executive team. We're also prepared to discuss compensation." Camilla stopped. She turned, just slightly, until Amanda was forced to look her in the eyes. "Do you think I want a voucher?" Amanda's mouth opened, but no words followed. "I don't want a discount. I want a shift. I want your training manuals rewritten. I want your diversity slides updated with consequences. I want your staff to learn what a customer looks like without preloaded bias." Amanda nodded, swallowing. Camilla leaned in. "I want Lisa to get a second chance, but not a second free pass." The VP hesitated. "If she's willing to go through bias re-education, retraining, and accountability review, she may remain under probation. Then you can tell her this. When you act like a gatekeeper, don't be surprised when the person you're blocking owns the building." Camilla continued walking. Amanda followed in silence. At the exit, a black town car was waiting, her usual driver, Anton, holding the door open. "Good flight, Dr. Rhodes?" he asked. She paused before answering. "Productive." She slid into the car. The door closed. Amanda stood at the curb, still processing everything. Behind her, Flight 298's first-class cabin was being cleared. Inside the plane, Lisa sat in the jump seat, staring at her hands. She hadn't been spoken to by the captain. She hadn't dared look any passenger in the eye since landing. Her stomach was still in knots. She knew the footage would go viral. She also knew who she had humiliated. And it wasn't just Camilla Rhodes. It was herself. In row 10, a college student was editing a video on her phone. She'd been discreet, no faces, but she'd caught the audio. The woman who'd stood up, calm, dignified, unyielding. Her voice saying, "You treat people with respect not because they earned it, but because you did." The student hit export. Titled the clip. She didn't raise her voice. She raised the standard. The upload bar turned green. 37 seconds later, it had 10,000 views. Lisa's ears rang with regret. Amanda's heels echoed on the terminal tile as she walked away. And Camilla? She sat in her town car, checking her calendar. There was a donor meeting at 2 o'clock. Then a call with the WHO at 3:30. She made no mention of the flight. Not yet. But the world was about to. The Rhodes incident has reached critical velocity. Video now trending on 3 platforms. Internal damage mitigation protocols must begin immediately. Attached were screenshots, tweets, comments, One Instagram post already at 400,000 views. Hashtag she belonged there. The CEO of Stratair, Thomas Kelleher, was still in the air himself, mid-route to Geneva. He hadn't seen the footage yet, but the board had. Back at LAX, Camilla's town car rolled past the terminal's silver curvature, gliding down Sepulveda Boulevard toward downtown. She said nothing. Anton, her driver, watched her through the mirror for a long time before asking, "Was it bad?" Camilla's voice was calm. "It was clarifying. Want me to call the press?" "We could." "No," she said firmly. "Not yet." He nodded. Inside Stratair's Los Angeles field office, two mid-level managers were frantically reviewing personnel files. Lisa Warner, 8 years. No previous disciplinary action. But today had shaken something loose. They played back the video again. Her face. The way she stood above Camilla. The condescension in her tone. They paused it at frame 122. Just before Camilla speaks. The contrast was striking. Lisa, flushed and defensive. Camilla, poised, centered, controlled. Someone in the room muttered, "We're screwed." Across the city, in a minimalist glass office tower, Camilla arrived at Rhodes Foundation HQ. The building wasn't flashy, just precise. Like her. She entered through the side elevator and headed to the conference floor. Inside, her executive assistant, Elena, greeted her with a quick nod. "They're ready," she whispered. "Press?" Camilla asked. "Not yet. Just the donors." She walked into the boardroom. The table was ringed with faces, philanthropists, civic leaders, and a few curious allies from the tech world. Someone leaned forward before she even sat down. "Camilla, is it true?" Camilla paused, then lowered herself into the chair at the head of the table. "It's true enough that you're all asking." A nervous chuckle circled the room. Camilla placed her hands flat on the table. "I didn't come here to relive humiliation. I came to reframe it." She let that settle. "Because what happened at 34,000 feet today happens on the ground every single day. It's not always filmed, but it's always felt." A man near the end of the table, a longtime logistics partner, cleared his throat. "What do you want from us?" Camilla's gaze locked onto his. "A commitment. That our dollars don't fly blind. That we partner with airlines and institutions that don't just offer premium seats, but equal respect." Several heads nodded. She continued, "I'm not asking you to protest. I'm asking you to notice. Because when companies notice that people like me fly just as high as anyone else, they change." A woman near her, retired judge, 72, leaned in. "They tried to reduce you to a seat assignment," she said. "But what you did, it raised all of us." Camilla's expression didn't change, but her fingers curled slightly into her palm. She'd been holding something in since the moment Lisa said, "You don't belong here." Now she let it out. "I do belong here," she said. "And now they know it." At Stratair headquarters, the general counsel had just gotten off a call with a federal oversight committee. The last time something like this happened? It cost another airline $12 million in settlements. This wasn't just bad optics. It was a warning. And Thomas Kelleher, still airborne, would be the last to know. Meanwhile, Lisa sat on a bench outside the crew terminal. Her hair was damp from nerves. She still wore the navy jacket. She stared at her phone. No calls. No texts. Just one silent notification. The video was now trending globally. She tapped it, watched herself, listened to her own voice, and flinched. It wasn't just what she said. It was what she saw in herself now. Inside the Rhodes Foundation, Camilla looked out the window at the Los Angeles skyline. Her assistant entered quietly. "You've got media requests from 4 outlets. Do you want to go public?" Camilla didn't turn around. "Not yet." "Then what now?" Camilla smiled faintly. "Now we give them a chance to make it right." Elena tilted her head. "And if they don't?" Camilla looked at her. "Then we do what we've always done." She turned back to the skyline. "We build something better." When the plane carrying Thomas Kelleher touched down at Geneva Airport at 8:52 p.m. local time, his phone lit up before he could even unbuckle his seatbelt. 6 missed calls. 4 flagged emails. 1 headline he couldn't ignore. CO turned away from first class because staff didn't recognize a black woman in power. His eyes scanned the screen. The still frame alone said it all. Lisa Warner standing in front of seat 2A, her hand out like a stop sign, her expression tense. Camilla, seated, back straight, eyes calm. The headline wasn't even the worst part. It was the quote below. "You're not on the manifest. Check it again." He opened the group chat labeled board urgent. 17 messages. 1 new voice memo. It was Amanda Keynes. Thomas hit play. "She warned us. She didn't ask for an apology. She demanded accountability. She is not looking to go public, not yet, but if we mishandle this, she won't have to. The internet already did it for her." Thomas leaned back, phone to his ear, jaw locked. The memo continued. "And the thing is, she didn't demand anything unreasonable. She asked us to clean house. She asked us to retrain, to rebuild trust. And she didn't scream. She didn't threaten. She just said it plainly." A long pause. Then Amanda's voice cracked, just a little. "It's worse because she was right." Thomas exhaled, running a hand over his face. He knew what had to be done. Back in LA, Camilla Rhodes was still refusing press. Not because she feared the spotlight, she'd lived under it most of her life, but because she didn't want this story to become about revenge. She wanted it to become about standards. At 9:13 a.m., her office received an internal memo from Stratair. A copy was forwarded directly to her inbox. It was titled, "New Direction. Stratair announces comprehensive overhaul of customer inclusion protocols." Camilla opened the document. There it was in bold. "Effective immediately, all executive and customer-facing staff will be retrained under a new equity compliance initiative co-developed by the Rhodes Foundation." Her phone buzzed. It was Amanda Keene. Camilla answered. "It's done," Amanda said simply. Thomas landed. He saw the memo. "Lisa's been suspended pending investigation. HR is leading it. But more importantly, your framework is in motion. Starting today." Camilla didn't smile, but she nodded. "Then we've begun." Amanda hesitated, then asked, "May I say something personal?" Camilla waited. "I was in that room when she blocked you," Amanda said quietly. "And I didn't speak up." Camilla's voice didn't rise. "And now? Now I won't sit silent again." There was a pause. "Then you're doing better than most." Meanwhile, Lisa sat alone on a bench outside her apartment. The wind tugged at her sleeves. Her phone screen still showed the freeze frame of the video, now at 4.6 million views. She read the comments. "This happens more than you know. Respect is not a luxury. She handled it like a queen. Train your damn staff." Some were cruel. Others were corrective. Most were simply tired. She had watched it twice. Then a third time. Each viewing peeled something back. Lisa saw herself not as she meant to be, but as she had shown herself to be. Not the professional. Not the leader. But the gatekeeper. The wrong kind. She had built a 20-year career on pride and performance. and it had taken 45 seconds to expose how little that mattered when she forgot her own humanity. She opened a blank email. Subject, to Dr. Rhodes. She stared at it, then closed the app. Not yet. Not until she could say something that deserved to be read. Across the country, in homes, in offices, and in terminals just like the one where it began, people were watching. The clip had been re-uploaded by dozens of creators. One version featured soft piano music and a narration. She didn't yell. She didn't threaten. She didn't walk away. She sat there and let the truth land. A woman in Charlotte sent it to her daughter with one word. Watch. A teacher in Oakland played it for her 10th grade class. A lawyer in Chicago wrote a blog post titled, "The Day We All Sat into a..." Something was spreading. Not just the outrage, the awareness. At the Rhodes Foundation, Camilla opened her drawer and pulled out the leather travel wallet she always carried. Inside, her original boarding pass. C2A. She unfolded it slowly, then slid it back in. This story wasn't over. Not yet. But the airline had taken its first step. The public had taken notice. And Camilla? She was already preparing for what came next. Because she knew it wouldn't stop with Stratair. There were more rooms, more lobbies, more lounges, and she'd walk into all of them the same way. Not to demand a seat, but to remind them she never needed their permission to sit down. It was 1 week later when Camilla finally agreed to the interview. She chose not a morning show, not a corporate stage, not even a live-stream panel with donor spotlights. Instead, she walked into a small podcast studio on the 3rd floor of a red brick building near downtown Los Angeles. No stylists. No press agent. Just her and a microphone. The host, Deidre James, known for her raw, unedited storytelling format, hit record. And for the first 60 seconds, no one spoke. Just the soft hum of the room, the tension of unsaid things. Then Camilla leaned into the mic and said, "The most dangerous assumptions are the ones that wear a smile." She told the story simply. No embellishments. No edits. She described Lisa's voice. Edward's smirk. The soft thud of her tablet hitting the floor. The hesitation in other passengers' eyes. The red light of a phone camera flickering, then fading. She said, "People always ask, why didn't you raise your voice? And I say, sometimes the loudest thing you can do is stay seated." Deidre leaned forward. "Did you expect it?" Camilla didn't blink. "I prepared for it." Another pause. "And if you could speak to Lisa now?" Camilla inhaled slowly. Then said, "I wouldn't speak to Lisa. I'd speak to whoever trained her. Or didn't." The episode hit 2 million listens in 2 days. Not because it was explosive. Because it was undeniable. There was no victim narrative. No revenge arc. Just a voice, clear, measured, factual, cutting through the noise. The Stratair board issued an official statement that same afternoon. "We do not condone the experience Dr. Rhodes endured. We failed to meet the standard she, and every passenger, deserves." Camilla didn't comment. But privately, her team confirmed that 4 other major airlines had reached out to consult on customer equity initiatives. The ripple was becoming a wave. And now I want to speak directly to you, wherever you're watching or listening. Whether you're on your feet in a kitchen or seated on a long bus ride. Whether you're someone who's lived this story or feared one day it might be yours. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and felt unwelcome before you said a word? Have you ever been asked to prove who you are, not because of what you did, but because of how you looked? If you have, then you already know. This story isn't about airlines. It's about expectations. Who gets believed? Who gets space? Who gets the benefit of the doubt? And who never did? And this is what matters most. Silence is no longer your only option. You can speak. You can stand. You can push back without screaming. You can hold the line, not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after. Because what Camilla did that day wasn't magic. It wasn't just money. It wasn't fame. It wasn't even power. It was strategy. It was restraint. It was the muscle you build when you've spent decades swallowing disrespect and choosing impact over impulse. You don't need to be a billionaire to shift a room. You don't need a stage to make people listen. You just need the courage to make that first move. So if this story struck a chord, share it. Hit like if it made you pause. Send it to someone who's been dismissed, doubted, or made to feel small. Because stories like this aren't just meant to be told. They're meant to be remembered. They're meant to be the moment where someone else says, "If she held her ground, then I can too." And that's where change begins. Right here. In a voice. In a choice. In a seat that you never needed permission to sit in.